On the streets of New York, a gang of thieves breaks into a jewelry store and drives off down the highway. However, in the city skies, the superheroine called G-Girl flies at high speed and, with her strength, she lifts the bandit's car and leaves it in front of the police station. But then one of the criminals pulls out his gun and starts shooting at the civilians. G-Girl quickly gets in front and, like Superman, her body is resistant to gunfire and she doesn't suffer any damage. The thug tries to escape, but with her speed, she knocks him to the ground and finally destroys his gun using only her hands. After saving the day, G-Girl leaves and her heroic act soon becomes news in all the papers. One of them is being read by Matt, an employee of a design company who is going to work with his friend Vaughn. Suddenly, they come across a young redhead sitting on the subway and Vaughn convinces his colleague to talk to her. Matt then gathers his courage and asks her out, but receives a humiliating no from her. Even so, he tries again, until he is interrupted by a thief, who steals the young woman's handbag. Without hesitation, Matthew runs after the guy and the two end up in the street, where the thief is almost hit by a car. As a result, he drops the bag and Matthew picks it back up, but the thief soon returns with an iron bar and runs after him. Matt hides in a garbage can and the thief tries to force him out, but the guy screams and disappears. Matt goes to see what happened and instead of the thief, he finds the young woman from the subway, who thanks him for the gesture and introduces herself as Jenny Johnson. She gives him her phone number in return and the two of them continue chatting in the streets. What Matt doesn't realize is that Jenny has left the thief hanging from the stairs of the building next door, revealing that she is none other than G-Girl. Later, Matt goes to work and receives a call from Jenny inviting him to dinner. He accepts and the evening goes on as normal, but the young woman proves to be overly sincere in her comments, as well as being somewhat insecure and even paranoid. To make matters worse, during the conversation, she hears an emergency call thanks to her super hearing. Seeing that she needs to do her job, Jenny says she's going to the bathroom, but instead she flies to answer the call and finds a building on fire. With a spinning motion, she begins to pull in all the smoke and the fire quickly goes out. She then returns to the restaurant, her face smeared with soot, and when Matt notices, she tells him she has to go to the bathroom again. The next morning, he goes to tell his colleague and best friend, Hannah, who finds Jenny's attitude very suspicious. She suspects that the young woman is hiding something, but despite everything, Matt can't stop thinking about the meeting. Because of this, he decides to ask her out on another date and the two arrange to visit the art gallery where Jenny works. Matt then hails a cab, but when the driver drives straight past them, Jenny uses her breath to pull the vehicle back without anyone noticing. Arriving at the gallery, the place is empty and Jenny takes the opportunity to talk about her day-to-day responsibilities. Without revealing that she has superpowers, she says that she has to help people all the time, but that Matt was the only one who helped her and she considers him her hero. At this point, the two kiss, but Jenny is sincere again and tells Matt that he needs to get better at it. This comment almost ruins the mood, but Jenny decides to teach him how to kiss better and, once he has learned, the two of them go to Matt's apartment to enjoy the rest of the evening. Unbeknownst to them, a robotic bird appears at the window and transmits everything on camera to an unknown subject. Meanwhile, the couple continue to enjoy their romantic moment, but due to her strength, Jenny ends up destroying Matt's bed. Despite the unusual evening, Matt is very pleased with the date and the next morning he calls Vaughn into a bar to tell him the news. Shortly afterwards, Hannah also turns up and shows Matt the Chinese phrases she's got to help him present his design project. He's happy with his friend's gesture, but tells her that he has to leave because he's meeting Jenny again. On hearing this, Hannah feels uncomfortable, showing that she feels more than friendship for him, but decides to keep it a secret. As for Matt, as soon as he leaves the bar, two guys stop him and forcibly take him into a car. There, the same guy who saw his romantic evening with the robot bird is there, and he turns out to be Professor Bedlam, G-Girl's archenemy. The guy says he knows that Matt is seeing a young woman and wants to know everything about it. Matt refuses and, in response, the villain orders his henchmen to hang him upside down from the top of the Statue of Liberty. At the same moment, Jenny is at home when she receives a message from the professor saying that she deserves someone better than Matt. It seems that, as well as being rivals, the two have a past together and Jenny sets off to see what happened to her boyfriend. She has to hurry, because the rope used to tie Matt's foot is quickly coming loose. Finally, the knot in the rope unties itself and he starts to fall, but before it's too late, G-Girl appears and catches him in midair. Matt thanks the woman, but she hides her face so that he doesn't discover her identity. At the same time, Professor Bedlam breaks into Jenny's house and takes the opportunity to collect strands of her hair for an experiment. Later, Matt meets Jenny again and tells her about how G-Girl saved his life. However, He says that he didn't get to see her properly and found her personality a bit strange, something that offends Jenny greatly. The two then stop for a while to look at a book fair, but Jenny sees a girl crossing the road, just as a car is about to pass. Taking advantage of Matt's distraction, she runs at sonic speed to save the girl and scolds her for not looking both ways before crossing. However, the woman ends up doing exactly the same thing and is hit by a car, which pushes her to the other side of the sidewalk. Matt rushes to help her, but she doesn't even get a scratch, something that leaves him and all the pedestrians on the street stunned. Minutes later, Jenny takes Matt to her apartment and, seeing that she can't keep her secret any longer, she decides to tell him the truth. So, as well as revealing her G-girl costume, she also removes her red wig and shows off her blonde hair. Matt is impressed to discover that Jenny is a G-girl, but she makes him promise not to tell anyone her secret. He promises to do so, but wants to know more about Jenny and how she became a super. The young woman says that, at school, she was one of the outcasts in her class and this made her get close to Bedlam. The two soon became lovers and one night, while they were having a romantic moment in the car, they saw a meteor cross the sky and fall in the middle of the park. They run to see the meteor, but as soon as Jenny touches the rock, the object explodes and pushes them both away. As soon as Jenny regains consciousness, she has a strange sensation and her body begins to change. The young girl no longer needs her braces and glasses, her hair has turned blonde and she has also become able to fly. However, instead of using her powers for good, she decided to use her abilities and new look to become popular at school. As a result, she and Bedlam drifted apart and Jenny decided to become a full-time super, while her former friend became a villain. Now that everything has been cleared up, Matt feels more comfortable having a serious relationship with Jenny. What's more, now that he knows about her superpowers, Matt asks her to fly him around the city. Jenny accepts the request and, dressed as G-girl, the two travel the skies and enjoy a romantic moment in midair. In the meantime, Bedlam is testing Jenny's hair and realizes that not even a saw can cut it. However, using one of the pieces of the meteor, the villain discovers that it is possible to absorb the energy contained in it and thus remove Jenny's powers. The next day, Matt goes to New Jersey to inspect the design of a building and ends up injuring his finger with a splinter. Hannah tries to help him, but she tries to remove the splinter with her mouth, just as Jenny appears on the scene. She says she misses him and, to make Matt's colleague jealous, she kisses him in front of everyone. Despite the awkward moment, Matt tries to break the ice between the two and invites Hannah and her new boyfriend on a couple's date. Without much choice, she accepts and the three of them meet at a restaurant, but Hannah's boyfriend warns her that he won't be able to make it. The mood at dinner becomes uncomfortable, but it's about to get worse when a news report announces that a test missile has been launched in New York. More news of tragedies begins to spread, but Jenny refuses to go because she is jealous of Matt and Hannah. However, her boyfriend knows that she is the only one capable of resolving the situation and insists that something be done. Even against her will, Supergirl sets off to save the day, while Hannah and Matt follow everything on the news. The missile gets closer and closer to New York, but on TV, everyone sees G-girl fly towards it and kick it into the sky. Thanks to this, the missile explodes in space and everyone celebrates that the city has been saved. Minutes later, Jenny returns to the restaurant and finds Matt hugging Hannah, celebrating that Super G-girl has saved the day, but Jenny ends up interpreting everything differently. On the way home, the two start arguing because Jenny has realized that Hannah has feelings for Matt. He tries to convince her that the two of them are just friends, but in a fit of jealousy, Jenny smashes the car window with a punch. Matt is forced to stop on the sidewalk and, after regaining his composure, Jenny apologizes for being out of control. She admits that she can go overboard sometimes, but that she does it because she loves Matt, but he starts to think that things are getting out of hand. The next day, while working out at the gym, Matt gets the situation off his chest with Vaughn. He says he's discovered Jenny's real personality and is now considering ending the relationship. His friend then tells him that there are only two ways of doing this: being a jerk or being a loser. In the first case, he should give her a simple, straightforward, no-frills exit. In the second option, you have to be calm and kind, and then end it all and stop answering calls and messages. As you might expect, Matt doesn't like either suggestion and decides to do it his own way. Later, the two meet at his apartment and, after having a few drinks, Matt tells Jenny that they need to take a break. At first, she doesn't take it seriously and thinks he just wants to be alone to think about the relationship. Meanwhile, Matt reveals that he wants to break up, meet other people and leave Jenny free to do the same. Upon hearing this, Super G-girl's fury reaches its limit and she starts destroying everything in the kitchen. Jenny believes it's all Hannah's fault, but Matt says the real reason is her manipulative, jealous and needy ways. This only inflames Jenny's rage so much that, as well as pushing Matt against the wall with one blow. She fires her heat vision into his aquarium. Matt rushes to save his fish, while Jenny goes out on the roof and warns him that he will regret this decision. Another day passes and Matt goes to the bar, where he tells Vaughn about the breakup. He fears that Jenny will want revenge, but his colleague tells him not to worry about it. Matt agrees and, breaking his promise to Jenny, he reveals her secret identity to his friend. Vaughn is surprised, but warns that revealing this might not have been a good idea, because if Jenny finds out, Matt will be in serious trouble. His suspicions come true when the super appears, holding a chainsaw, and advances towards her ex-boyfriend. Luckily for Matt, it was all just a bad dream and he decides to keep it a secret for his own good. Even so, the whole situation is starting to make him paranoid and he can't even concentrate on his work. Hannah notices that Matt isn't well and he tells her about his breakup with Jenny. At the same time, he realizes that he's actually always been in love with Hannah, but never had the courage to admit it. Matt then gathers the courage to reveal this to her, but when he looks out of the window, he finds Jenny on the other side. She leaves soon after, but Matt receives a call from the parking lot, telling him that someone has broken through the walls and stolen his car. Matt knows very well who did it, but he can't do anything about a super. When evening comes, he tries to concentrate on presenting the project to the Chinese company, until the lights go out in the apartment and Jenny crosses the roof again. She tells him to look at the sky through his telescope and, as he does so, Matt sees his car floating in space, with various insults written on the bodywork. Having already lost patience with this situation, he says that Jenny is crazy and regrets the day he decided to ask her out. In response, she fires her heat vision at Matt, causing a scar to form an insulting word on his forehead. Unable to hide the wound, he is forced to wear a cap so as not to reveal it at the performance. As soon as he meets the owners of the Chinese company, Matt starts to show off his design, but once again Jenny shows up to ruin everything. With her speed, she invades the meeting, takes off all Matt's clothes and puts him through the most embarrassing experience of his life. Without suspecting that the super has done this, everyone thinks it's all a prank by Matt and, as a result, he is fired from the company. Hannah tries to help him at this point, but Matt just takes his things and asks her to stay away from him as much as possible. Back at home, Matt receives a visit from Professor Bedlam, who claims to have found a way to neutralize Jenny's powers. He then makes a proposal. If Matt helps him, the two of them will be free of the super forever. The professor gives him a day to think and, as soon as he leaves, Matt receives a call from Hannah asking for help. He fears that Jenny has attacked her and rushes to her apartment, but in fact Hannah has called him because she has discovered that her boyfriend is cheating on her. Even so, she thanks Matt for coming so quickly to console her and for being her best friend. However, he says that he doesn't want to be just a friend and, in return, Hannah kisses him and the two finally have their romantic moment. Everything seems to be going well, but when dawn breaks, Matt hears someone calling him through the window. When he opens the curtains, he finds G-Girl, who is so furious to see him with Hannah that she throws a huge shark into the apartment. Luckily, they both manage to dodge the creature, but it starts chasing Matt into the living room. There, the shark jumps towards him, but Matt manages to dodge it and the animal goes right through the window. Seeing that his and Hannah's lives are in danger, Matt asks her to leave town while he goes to meet Bedlam. Hours later, he finds the professor at his house and shows him a huge piece of the meteor. With it, it will be possible to absorb the radiation that gave Jenny her powers, as long as she is in direct contact with the rock. Seeing that this is the only way to solve his problems, Matt agrees to do it and sets off to meet Jenny in her gallery. He hands her a bouquet of flowers and says he's ready to get back together. Although furious, Jenny soon accepts and Matt invites her to a romantic dinner at his house. Hours later, Jenny shows up at the apartment and finds a wrapped present on the table. Without suspecting that the meteor is inside, she is thrilled, but before she can open it, Matt calls her to dinner. Jenny soon forgets everything she's been through and is about to kiss Matt, but just then, Hannah appears. Not understanding what's going on, she demands an explanation, but soon after, Vaughn also shows up, calling Matt over for a game of basketball. The situation gets more and more bizarre and Jenny tells Hannah to leave before she tears her to pieces. Unaware that Matt's ex is a G-girl, Hannah doesn't shy away from confrontation, but in the middle of the confusion, she removes Jenny's wig, revealing her secret identity. To prevent anything bad from happening, Matt sends Vaughn to open the present and, with the meteor exposed, it begins to absorb Jenny's powers. Bedlam, who was watching everything with a hidden camera, goes to the apartment just as Jenny loses all her powers. He celebrates his victory and says that he will absorb the meteor's energy and become a super villain. What's more, he orders one of his henchmen to shoot Matt, as he doesn't intend to leave any witnesses. Vaughn, still holding the lid of the gift, uses it to hit the man, while Matt jumps towards Bedlam and the two start fighting. At the same moment, Jenny tries to touch the meteor to regain her powers, but Hannah stops her. The two end up touching the meteor, which explodes, throwing them out of the building. Matt blames himself for what happened, but then Jenny appears, with her powers back. Furious at Matt's betrayal, she attacks him, but Hannah reappears, now with red hair and the same powers as G-Girl. The two then set out to confront each other, using their powers of flight and super strength to fly around the city. Because of Jenny's experience as a super, she gets the better of her and throws Hannah into a billboard. Matt runs to help her, but G-Girl stops him and starts attacking him. Seeing this, Hannah picks up a pole from the ground and, using all her strength, she strikes Jenny, who is thrown away. Even so, G-Girl doesn't give up and throws a car at the couple, who manage to narrowly avoid it. The two then start spinning rapidly and attack each other at sonic speed between the city's buildings. The battle intensifies and they end up at a fashion show, where they prepare for the second round. But before they do, Matt shows up and asks them to calm down, because they're scaring people with all this conflict. Once they've calmed down, Matt apologizes for hurting Jenny, but they both know that deep down they never really loved each other. However, there is someone who feels that way about Jenny, and so Matt asks Bedlam to come closer. The villain refuses at first, but finally admits that he did all this because he wanted Jenny to notice him and believed that this would happen if he had superpowers. In the end, Jenny admits that she has always felt the same way about him, and the two kiss in front of everyone. Now that everything has been resolved, Matt and Hannah also return home and decide to enjoy the rest of the evening alone. The day dawns again in New York and Matt takes his new girlfriend on a date. On the way, they meet Bedlam and Jenny, who have brought his car back from space, but despite the gesture, the vehicle is completely destroyed. Still, the two couples settle their differences and say goodbye, until Jenny and Hannah hear an emergency call with their super hearing. G-Girl prepares to save the day, but Hannah wants to go along and, as she's never had a partner before, Jenny agrees to take her. So the supers put on their costumes and fly off to save the day once again. As for their boyfriends, since they don't have superpowers, they decide to go to the bar, have a few drinks and talk about their relationships. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.